every with everybody. So, welcome to you all. So, with us this afternoon, we have Glenn Butcher, who is the Chief Judge, and Celia Jordan. And my formal title is apparently Deputy Chief Judge, but I call myself the Merry Helper because I think that's probably the better description. So, we are going to run this afternoon in terms of, oh, I like that title better. So, we're going to run through. Um, just basically some call it almost housekeeping. Then we're going to work through with Glenn on some sessions on some tips and myself. We're going to share some information with you just because it's useful information to have to be able to see where the categories are, etc. And then there will be an opportunity to actually ask questions because sometimes it's easier to ask some of those questions. If in doubt, always ask. So I'm going to hand over to Glenn for the acknowledgement of country, and I will just add people into the room as they come in.
Thank you, Celia. So West Australia and Australia has a incredible history of innovation, and I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which we live, work, learn, care, and pay our respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and their elders, past and present, and innovators, past and present.
That's a very great idea, especially since we've got a whole room full of innovators, and we have probably a number of people that would be the current or future elders as well. So with the online judging process that we've got, firstly, what we have to say is congratulations on being a finalist. We know that the written process can actually be sometimes quite a difficult process because often it's easier to talk about what you do and why it's so innovative. But the process to get through to a finalist does mean that you've passed that first bar in terms of being able to say, I'm a finalist. So well done and congratulations. Now that we're going into the next round of the judging, the scores from phase one is not carried over. You literally start on a clean slate. And that is done based on a presentation and question and answers from the judges. They can go back to the written information, but typically it's unless there is something that is not clear or that cannot be clarified in the questions and answers, or you run out of time, a lot of the information comes out of your presentation. So I have said this a few times now, but if you haven't booked your time slot, please make sure that you do that so that we know that you will actually be attending. It is really quite difficult to change the judging dates and time slots. And I know a couple of you have asked but there's a lot of logistics involved in bringing judges, the entrance, etc., all together. So apologies if we cannot help you, but it is really quite difficult to make any movements around that. My apologies to the emerging leaders because I kind of understand that you are in the middle of exams. So see this to be like a bit of an exam as well. So yes, because unfortunately it is how the year works, and we have to make it for the 18th of July. So we are doing the judging for what we call the project categories over a 2-week period. And with some of the categories, in actual fact, it runs over 2 days, depending on the number of finalists. So the judging is done on Zoom. And often there are actually two streams. So with most of them, it would be either Glenn or myself that is in and out in that stream as well. If I can please ask you, test your videos, your microphones, your headphones, test it before the time, but not just internally so you can hear yourself, is let someone else be in another room and test it because that is often one of the things that people actually waste a bit of time in the process because the video gets stuck or the sound is not good or people can't hear you. It actually eats into your time, but it often also then places you as the presenter under a bit of stress as well. The other component that I think that I would recommend is, we do not force you to do a presentation. You can go and stand there and talk for 15 minutes. A presentation does actually really help because it gives the judges, because, some people can listen, some people watch, some people see graphs. The presentation is really quite good. But if something goes wrong, or your video can't work, or your presentation gets stuck or something, be prepared to be able to provide the information that would have been in your presentation to the judges. Personally, I've been involved with the judging for quite a long time now, and some of the best pitches have come through from someone where everything failed and they literally had to talk the judges through it. So just make sure that you give yourself the best chance to do your best as such. Again, just as we said, I'm going to not talk about Calendly, but if you haven't got the information, just let us know. And then, same way as you've joined today, please make sure that you are in the Zoom meeting room at least 20 minutes before your allocated start time. Um, You'll be placed in the waiting room, and typically one of us will actually send you just a message and say, are you all here? Or are you waiting for someone else? But it helps if we know whether you'll be joining as a group or whether you'll be joining separately. So please make sure that we actually, if you can provide when you confirm that with the email that we'll send out with booking, that you actually let us know that as well. Where please don't be late. If you are all there and it's 5 minutes before the time, and the judges are ready, we will actually let you come in, because there's no purpose in just waiting. But we will check with you if you are ready to come in. But your session starts when the session starts. So we unless there is a real technical glitch on our side, we do not start late. And don't be late. If there is an issue, we will actually let you know some contact numbers. Give us a call or send us a text or a message so that we know that what's going on. So as far as your presentation is concerned, is we have allocated 5 minutes for setup. Now, setup these days is actually quite a simple process. You come in, you share your screen, and probably that takes about 2 minutes. The rest of that time is also then used by the lead judge to just give you a welcome, to talk you through the process, to give you the reminder about the 15 minutes presentation, the 15 minutes Q&A, but also then to talk about the timekeeping and who will be keeping time, etc. So it is 5 minutes for the setup and the introductions. There's a 15-minute time allocation for your presentation, 15 minutes for the questions and answers by the judging panel, and then you will exit the online judging group. If I could please ask you if you could exit. If you take a little while, I will put you into, or we will put you back into the waiting room. But if we exit you, Zoom has got this, or used to have this really strange setup that if you actually, let's say, kicked someone out of the room, that they couldn't necessarily come back in. I don't know if that still is, but if you can exit, that would be good. Your presentation and question and answer time is 30 minutes in total. The total session is 40 minutes, so we don't go over the 40 minutes, but you're not getting bonus points if you set up in 1 minute. We do not, for those who would become winners and merits and go through to the I Awards or the Apicto Awards, which is the next path after the I Awards, they actually work on 10 minutes and 10 minutes, and people get stopped at the 10-minute mark. So we don't stop you at the 15-minute presentation mark. If you want to talk for the 30 minutes, no one's going to stop you, but you will get the time reminders that says, well, you've got 2 minutes left of your presentation time. You've got, whatever time left. The recommendation is not to run over into your question and answer time. It is the best time for, I think it's one of the best benefits of the whole process is that 15 minutes question and answer time, because often it closes out any gaps in your presentation, or it clarifies questions that the judges have. And because it's industry peers, those questions are quite valuable questions. And that is actually a real reason why you want to make sure that you can actually present in your 15-minute presentation slot. Just as a clarification, because we do have a number of finalists that are finalists in more than one category, we do judge each entry in its own category separately, because every category has got its own panel of judges and they judge that panel. So our judges can't abstain from any entries. So if they have a conflict of interest, they cannot actually judge in that category, because because Western Australia is quite small. And whether it was small or not, we value people's intellectual property, the confidentiality, the competitive edge that you would have. So that's why we have, if you're a finalist in more than one category, that you actually present in each category to that category and its criteria. Just with the student category, the emerging leaders, that because it is the undergraduate students, the TAFE students, and and welcome to those who are joining late. We are recording, so if you've missed the beginning, we'll share the presentation with you and the recording with you. But with the emerging leaders, the student team need to do the presentation. The supervisor or mentors can be in the presentation, but you're only joining as an observer. So if you can make sure that in that particular category that the students are the ones that are presenting, that would be good, because otherwise the lead judge in that category may say, no, who's the student, because it is a student category. And that makes it fair and transparent for all of the students who may not have an observer join them. So the judging process. So the role of the chief judge, and you may not actually you may see our faces or you may not see our faces, because we may remove our video or turn our video off, is we don't judge any of the finalist presentations. We provide the process oversight, the consistency, the probity, making sure that it's all fair and reasonable across a particular panel, but also across all of the different panels. We are in the back end part of the judges' deliberations. So we sit in at the back end once all the entries have been judged, and then we review with that panel and the lead judge the winners and the merit awards. So we don't judge. We oversee what the judges are doing, and sometimes we would do a clarification, but typically it wouldn't be in your presentation as such, unless it's a administrative item. So in the panel, when you get in, there will be a lead judge. And the lead judge will do the introductions, will oversee the questions and answers, making sure that there's parity against all of those. And then there is a panel of judges. So they judge your presentation against the specific criteria in the category that you are presenting in. So they will also have they have award forms that we use, where they can see what the items are that you need to address. So they judge basically out of each criteria is got a weighted, but they judge it out of 10. The weighting is done on the back end. So they actually see all the high level sub items in each of the criteria. If they do not, if they look like they are not looking at you, or they may be reading something, just understand that they're also needing to make sure that what they're listening to and what they're seeing that they link it back to the scoring. So it's not because they are rude or you are not presenting well. It is also because they are listening, but they also need to make sure that if they have questions, that they can actually clarify those as well. So they will ask the questions in question and answer time. My suggestion would also be to make sure that when you actually answer the questions is answer what's being asked and give sufficient detail. But remember, it's also 15 minutes, so that you can actually get the best out of those 15 minutes as well, so that you don't. It's not a, don't keep going. Move on from that. So the clock starts specifically at. So we said it's 5 minutes setup. So if in 3 minutes we're all done and we're ready to go, the clock starts, and that's when the 15 minutes plus the 15 minutes run. Just do me a favor and watch out for the timekeeping, because that's often you don't want to interrupt someone while they are presenting, but it's quite hard because sometimes you have to, because you may be looking at your screen, or you may be looking for something. So just keep in mind a mind out, or be mindful that they will be doing some timekeeping for you. The scoring matrix is, as I said, they score out of 10, and this just gives you an idea as to, I would hope that no one as a finalist would have to, get a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or even a 5. We would hope that you guys would all sit in that, 6 to 10 bracket. But that gives you an idea as to how the judges score. There's no half scores. It's only full scores. Typically, a 10 means that you've absolutely demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt, a very, very high level of excellence. So, but we have seen some tens in the past. They don't come easy, but they do come. So if that is your goal, go for it. Absolutely. And then I'm actually now going to hand over to Glenn so he can talk about the presentation a bit.
All right.
And Glenn, just let me know as you want me to move on.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Celia. So I'm going to talk about your presentation a bit. So you've only got 15 minutes to present, and that's not a whole lot of time. So you need to be concise and kind of precise in what you say. Uh, Being prepared is really helpful around that. If you spending the time to actually understand exactly how to say a complicated subject in a small amount of words takes preparation. So make sure you actually do some practices beforehand, and some practices with some people who don't know the subject would also, I'd recommend personally, can be quite helpful, who aren't in your field. Take the judges on the journey. The judges are smart, talented, experienced people, but they don't know your thing. They don't know your innovation. So they need to have that explained to them. And there's a common saying about explain it to me like I'm five. The judges aren't 5 year old, but if you explain it to someone who is 5 years old, you have really explained it. So you want to make sure that you actually explain it in a way that the judges can go on your journey with you and understand your innovation. So you got to make sure you kind of get that your point across of what you actually did, what you actually innovated. Capturing the attention of the judges, it's always great if you actually have like a key point you want to make. This thing I've done, solves world hunger, cures cancer, or makes a government department more efficient. Whatever it is, it's good to have a kind of a nice kind of key selling point. Time to put on your big to emote, to talk to the judges and kind of project your voice as well. Think about how you stand out from the crowd. Everyone else who's a finalist is also a talented person, and you want to kind of think about how you present your voice, your story, your innovation story kind of through this. So you got, how do I stand out here and actually sell, kind of this as a great outcome? We've talked about time. Time management is super critical. You've only got 15 minutes for your presentation. It's up to you to manage your time, and manage even answering your questions well, so that you kind of answer the question asked, concisely, on topic. Give a chance for other people to ask questions as well if they want. Test it. Set up a Zoom call. Zoom call somebody else. Make sure your tech works with somebody else. It's really crucial. The judges will be okay if it doesn't work, that things happen, but you'll be flustered and you won't get your story across as well as if you could have. And so it's better for you to be prepared and actually make sure that you go, I know this works and I'm comfortable that everything on the day will be fine. The concrete and specific, I'll hark back to the point I made earlier about taking the judges on the journey. They're smart, talented people, but they don't know your innovation. So they need to see it. They need to kind of hear this, hear the key point of, okay, what does this actually do? I have sat through innumerable presentations in my life where at the end of the presentation, I don't understand what the thing actually does. Make sure you don't do that. Make sure you actually kind of tell a concrete example here of this does this thing for these people. That's really handy. Next slide, Celia. All right, I'll go back to an early point again because it's really important. A great way to get a poor outcome is to not address the criteria. Very hard for the judges to give you a good score on a criteria if you don't actually address the criteria. So go and have a look at the criteria beforehand and make sure you actually address that in your presentation. It may come up in the questions, but you can't count on that. So you need to make sure you address the criteria in your questions. Help your judges navigate your presentation is similar to go on the journey. So help them kind of go, okay, you started with a problem statement, you started with explanation of the field you're in. So they go, all right, okay, I got some context now. Now I can move on to the next step. Highlight why your submission is unique and should be selected as a winner. You want to tell that story. You're not just here to pitch. You're actually here to win, hopefully. And you want to be able to say my thing is unique. And that's my great story there. Back to the category. Yep. So cover that in your presentation. Leave time for questions. Have a backup plan. If your tech doesn't work, or you get thrown for a bit of a loop, what's your plan? Make sure you've actually thought something about how you're going to present that. If the technology doesn't work or you have some other kind of issue, what if you have three presenters and only two of you are there on the day? What happens around that? So you need a little bit of thought around how you can kind of cover any gaps there as well. Next slide, Celia.
Glenn, if I may just pop in a thought there, when we talk about also navigate the breadcrumbs, you will see that we put these little breadcrumbs at the bottom of the presentation. That actually helps the judges see it's a visual cue. So there are some visual cues that you can use that is actually quite simple that will help as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. Common gaps. I'll say it again, not addressing the criteria. So very hard to get a good score if you don't address the criteria. Okay, the other gap here is that the INCITE Awards are a technology award. And so while the people you're talking to might not know the technology field that you're in, it is still a technology award. And so it's okay to talk about your technology. And you can say, we've done a bunch of software, but we did this one amazing thing. And I want to talk about the one amazing thing that we did as part of what we did. All right? So kind of, you can expand a bit more about the technical parts of what you do that differentiate you. Please don't spend time on things that don't differentiate you. You don't have very much time. Just focus on the things that are like truly innovative and kind of truly make you stand out in terms of that tech. If you are using off-the-shelf products that you've bolted together, that's fine. That's how a lot of technology works these days. Just say how you bolted together in a unique way, or what else you did that's actually unique there as well. Um, that's where you should spend your minutes, not spend your minutes explaining stuff that is essentially undifferentiated. The tech panel is from tech industry, but they're not specialists in your area. So you can't assume they actually know something about your particular knowledge space, and you're not presenting to people that are your peers in your field. You're presenting to people in another team in another department, who only have tangentially heard about you. So yeah, it's okay to basically dive into the tech a bit, but remember that they don't necessarily know your tech. So you might need to explain that part a little bit as well. Yep, presenting to QA time. That means the judges don't get asked their questions. The judges ask questions because they want to understand what you've said, and they particularly are asking questions around the criteria. Like, help me understand this part because they're trying to dig into one of the elements of the criteria. So if you don't give yourself time to actually allow them to ask questions, you're missing the opportunity for them to really extract out of you what they need to hear around the criteria. So that's why that's so important. And back to the presentation needs to be related to the category that you're in, not some other category. So remember the category you're presenting to. If you're actually in multiple categories, remember the category you're in presenting to today, and talk to that and why that parts of it are relevant. And then don't be afraid to strut your stuff. This is your time to shine. Right? Don't do the Australian thing. Don't do the West Australian thing. and actually say my stuff is not that special. Actually, it is. That's why you're a finalist. You're already special. This is your opportunity to tell the judges why it's special.
Was it
Um,
to move on? Yeah.
yep, I think we've kind of covered all these points. Um, give you brief context on the problem space. It's a good place to start though. So if you are solving something that does something in an area I don't know anything about, I don't understand the problem to be solved in the first place. So just give me a little bit of context. If I was a judge, I'd want to hear that context as to what the problem you're solving here is, and then you can say, so given this problem, here's what we're doing, and here's why it's amazing. And then you can talk about your solution, your innovation, and kind of how it's then how kind of amazing it is. It's okay to talk about obstacles. In fact, that's a great part of the story. I tried this, I tried this, I tried this, and then I found the solution. It took me 3 years to find this solution because it's a really hard problem, to crack. That's great. I love to hear about that kind of stuff, right? It's not a negative, it's a positive. Talking about the journey, how you got there, it helps give a lot of context actually around kind of what innovation is. Um, Plan 15 minutes aim to finish at 14. That gives you, potentially a little bit of extra time, but also means that you sure you won't go across the time. So you kind of talk to or plan for that 14 minutes. Um, the different mediums there is because different people learn in different ways. So some people learn from words, some people learn from voice, some people learn from text, some people learn from a video. You kind of use the power of modern, kind of communication technology to tell your story in kind of multiple different ways. Um, and it's okay because then someone will get the story because you explain it with a video, and they wouldn't have got it if you showed it to them with a picture. People learn in different ways. It's okay to use different mediums in order to kind of make that work. Don't forget though, technology sometimes work, and playing a video with sound over a video call. Make sure you definitely test that before the call because that's something that, in my experience, it doesn't work very often. So you really got to test that part if you're doing playing a video across a video call, and test it in Zoom specifically. Thanks, Celia.
That is good. So in terms of those tips and the gaps, those have been put together from a lot of the years that we've seen in not just only the INCITE Awards, but some of the other awards as well. So it may sound like some of the very obvious things, but it actually get forgotten in the process quite a bit. So there's some useful information just so when we say make sure you actually cover the information in the category, there are the cheat sheets under each of the categories on that link. And we'll share that link with you. So go back because that is what the judges will judge you against because when they see the 10 they have to give their score out of 10, they actually have that as at the same high level on the next to them. We do have the tickets available. It's good to actually book your tickets for the INCITE Awards for the gala event. And I think it was Sarah that said in the beginning that it is such an amazing evening because we really get inspired through what we see happening in Western Australia. I actually had a look at the seating plan, and there's not that many seats left. So make yourself, get your spot. Make sure that you don't miss out on a wonderful night because the venue is there is space. We've made allocation for you guys, but it is really making sure that the bookings come in there as well. I just quickly wanted to touch on the I Awards. So the pathway from the INCITE Awards is to the I Awards, and actually coming back onto the gala dinner. So if you hear on the 18th of July that you are a winner or a merit award winner, then the I Awards, we will send your information through. We actually download your uh, um, submission and we upload it. They upload it on their end. The I Awards is a face-to-face judging process, and they can't be done virtually. And it is and don't hold me to it, but it is this Wednesday and the Thursday. So it's the 28th and the 29th but whatever the Wednesday and the Thursday, the last week of August in Adelaide, it is quite amazing as well. And Western Australia entrants and finalists do really well. So when you go through to the I Awards, it's another clean slate approach because you then compete against the rest of Australia. We do well, but if you need to get approvals, when you're here on the 18th of July, on the 19th, send your supervisor that email and say, hey, we need to get the funding sorted to get to Adelaide. So I just thought I will give you some warning ahead of time so that you can actually get that sorted as well. So now we've got some time for questions and answers from anyone from you guys. Oops. Is there any questions? I just want to see if there is anything on the chat. Over to you guys. Any questions? Let me have a look at the chat. Sorry, let me just open that up. Okay. So the judging criteria. So question one from Curtin Uni is, do you have a presentation template that we are required to follow? Are we free to? No, that's your opportunity to, and when we talk about the different mediums, you set it up, you put your branding on, you use your own fonts, your own designs, etc. So no, there is no presentation template. But what you will see then, so are the judging criteria for each category available publicly. So that is in that link that we put in, where for each category you'll see what it covers, and then what the requirements are. So you'll see for most of them, other than the research and innovation and the student category, and then actually startup, the questions is what is the problem, why, what it is, what have you done. There's actually four: what, why, how, and why is it innovative. That's kind of the four same requirements that we ask for. But when you look at the categories, that will actually give it to you, and that is how it is set up. So that what you get down when you download the category information, that is what the judges judge you against. Can any member of the team present and answer the questions, or must it be the corresponding team members only? So the only area where we have call it a requirement around presentation is in the emerging leaders, the undergraduate students category, where you basically have to make sure that the students present and the supervisors are observers. But as to whether you have one or two or three people present, and you make so in past presentations, you may have had one or two people present, and then questions got answered by the various team members. In others, everybody had a little time slot. So just make sure if you do that. Typically, what we see is there's a bit of a transition sometimes where it's over to you now. So just remember that you kind of practice that as well. Will there be an opportunity to practice entering the judging
Sorry, Celia,
process?
just one point to jump in there. A little piece of
Yeah.
advice. Plan out who's going to answer what. It makes it go a little bit more smoothly if you've already worked out this person's going to answer this set of questions or this kind of questions, and this person's going to answer this kind of questions. So.
Yeah. And sometimes, in actual fact, what we've seen in the past as well, when people utilize their 15 minutes really well, the judges may actually not have any questions. Don't see that as a negative, because if you do present all the information, typically they may not have that many questions. But what they then will often tend to do is they will go into some of the information where they may want to get more information, or they may ask you some of the questions such as, why do you deserve to win? Or, tell us about some of the obstacles, etc. So it's not an indication, depending on the number of questions, how well you've done or haven't done as such. Glenn, this one is one that you raised yesterday. Will there be an opportunity to practice entering the judging room and test the audio and the video equipment? It is quite a bit harder because we're doing it as an online one. But if you really get stuck and you want to do it, let us know. But I would suggest just do it with someone in your own team, put them in a different spot, and see. And if you don't have access to Zoom, let us know, and then we'll see if we can help you test it. The waiting in the judging room is you come in, it will say someone will let you in. So it's actually a fairly straightforward process. Then there is a question around if one of your group members aren't available to present, that is okay. You don't have to have all your team present. You can have one person present, or you can have um, all of them present. And Glenn has very kindly shared the link in the chat, so we will share that to you as well. The judging panel, no, we don't actually release the judging panel because you're not judging although we talk to you, there's a judging panel, you are not, we don't release that publicly as such. So it's not like the picture where they come from all over the Asia Pacific. It's very specific to the category. The judges, it doesn't matter who the judges are, if I can say that. Glenn, did you want to add to that one? But
No, I
typically
think that
we don't share the judging panel to you. I can actually just say that when we say people aren't necessarily specialists in your industry, if they are specialists in your industry, that is often where there is a potential conflict of interest. So we do a really strict judging panel allocation to make sure that we don't put anyone at risk for any potential or even a perceived conflict of interest. So I know for instance, this year, Curtin University, there's a number of finalists from Curtin, and we could not let a couple of people judge because there were potential conflicts with the other universities or, with say your university participating in a particular category. So we do value that and respect the know-how that you guys bring. And also the other thing that happens as part of the judging process, the judges sign a confidentiality agreement, so they're not allowed to discuss the outcome with anybody. It is and the individual judges can't actually see any of the other judges' scores. The lead judge can see it, and Glenn and I can see everybody's because we actually we look at the probity around that. So we follow quite a strict process around how we set up the judging panels so that we actually respect that although we are quite a big, part of Australia, we are also a relatively small community. Any more questions? We announced the winners and the merits on the gala, on the night of the gala. And that's part of the fun. So, there is a bit of there's some video stuff that gets put up on the screen about all of the finalists. So you would have seen that Jess has reached out to anyone who hasn't had. So, for instance, if you didn't put in any photos or anything, she would have had some emails because we actually put some nice visuals together, and then we announce the merit winner or winners if there are merit and merit winners in a category, and then we announce the winner on the night of the gala. And that's quite an exciting evening as such. So, Jonathan, if you haven't got your tickets yet, make sure that, because I think you guys are with the uni, make sure that you speak to your supervisors because you really, you guys I want to make sure that you can be there. We will, once the gala is done, there will be the social media announcements. We will send the information to, I think, the West Australian, whether they pick it up or not. You know, they sometimes are very peculiar, but we will announce it quite well on all of the social media channels that we can. Any other questions?
Good luck to all of you. Make sure you practice and see you on the night.
Yeah, we look
Thank you.
We look forward to, well, we will see a lot of you because we are in the background always. So yes, thank you for joining. We do appreciate that, and we look forward to seeing your presentations. Best of luck. Thank you so much.
Good night.